Podium race for round number 3 of the IFWL Pro-Am Series as the console squad heads on to Silverstone International Circuit, home of the British Grand Prix. And for us, the third round of some of the IFWL's best drivers. It's Jackson Lambros with you as we get set here for 1 hour of non-stop GT3 action. It is currently the Czech in the number 68 Ferrari, Martin Benedetti, leading with just over 7 minutes to go here in free practice. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on this Sunday night. I want to remind you that, well, we've got a new announcement as subscriber chat is now open, so you guys can get in and join the conversation on the YouTube stream. If you like, all you have to do is to be a ifwl.net subscriber on YouTube for over a minute, and you are in. Lone Lamborghini Huracan, Marco Gaglio, working through the first sector of this iconic British circuit. For those who are diehard Formula One and motorsport fans, you already know the story of Silverstone International, the former RAF airfield used during the Second World War, converted into a racing circuit, has taken many shapes over the years, has countless different formats in different loops. But the Pro-Am Series will take the Formula One layout. Working through Luffield and onto Woodcote here is Gaglio. Couple announcements here before we take to the track for qualifying. As always, a huge thanks to all of our sponsors, or affiliates I should say: Fanatec, Moza Racing, Abruzzi Raceware, CD Keys, Positive Perception, and G Portal. Major savings and support through the links in our description, as well as through our Discord. And of course, as always, would like to talk about the support you guys have given for IFWL, and as always, a major thank you in doing so for us and keeping the wheels turning in the International Friendly Weekly League. If you would like to support even more, you can become a part of our Patreon channel, and some major benefits come your way in doing so. The Assetto Corsa Country Bash Map, exclusive tunes, race fuel calculators, exclusive liveries through our friends at Positive Perception, and so much more. You can get half off of your first month, as you can see at the top there, using code JACKSONL at checkout. That's JACKSONL at checkout. Racing line not being considered there by Mel23 in the number 30 car, or excuse me, the 68. We've got so many different numbers going on there. It is insane. That is Martin Benedetti, though, still our fastest man on track in the Macca. 5 penalty points for him. He's way back in the standings right now, 25th as they run. A no-show in the first 2 rounds. He has come out of the gate absolutely swinging. Taking a quick look at our championship standings, though, it is the German Janis Schneppet in the number 422 Ferrari 296. Overall with 120 points, winning the opening round and getting a podium in third in round 2. Then it's Theopil Gorbet, Loxa, who we are no stranger to in the beginner series, still off to a great start in the big series. Second in round 1, 5th in round 2. Just over 15 points behind the lead. Then in third, it is your week 2 winner, your Kai Lamy winner, Marvin Melston, the Swede, 13th in the opening round, and obviously the win last Sunday, currently third Leader has 123 points. Gorbel with 108. Melvin Milstonen with 94. Tied right now with Marco Gaglio in the Huracan. Lone Honda of Chris O'Donoghue being hunted down by Black Metaphor. Or excuse me, no, that's Chris Harris. Further behind, not that Chris Harris. By the way, always feel like we need to mention that. He is very much on cars. Being a car guy, being a racer, and being named Chris Harris is like being a basketball player named Michael Jordan and just not being that guy. Two minutes to go here. It's still Mel that is fastest overall. How about Byron Forrest, the second pair of top 10s to open up the series? Razzled and dazzled us at Mount Panorama with that physics-defying move at the end of the beginner series. Looking for his first podium of the season. One of the few Americans. Big ups to Benji in chat, who's saying there might be a new app on the way for our Patreons. Oh my goodness. Forrest the second with a major lick on the pit entry wall. This is where we practice those folks. And here is our championship leader. Currently fourth fastest. We saw the cracks start to show in the second round. Is this the bounce back day, or will we see the Dutchman start to falter further back here? Ten drivers on the docket tonight. 2 Porsches, 2 Ferraris, 1 McLaren, a Honda in the form of Chris O'Donoghue, and a single BMW M4. That's Antonio DiCaprio. The Italian with a last place finish in the opening round and in 6th. Still plenty of points to play for here at this point in the season. Want to remind you, if you are watching and want to join in on the fun, still plenty of slots available for the Pro-Am series in both PC and console. You can click the link in our Discord or on our YouTube video or YouTube stream description, excuse me, to join in on the fun. Would love to have you. As we still have plenty of rounds ahead of us. 6 specifically on to Imola for night racing next Saturday. Then Suzuka, a night race at Misano, Red Bull Ring, the Nürburgring format of the Nordschleife. And then we crown ourselves a champion at Brands Hatch. That will be July 13th. As the checkered flag comes out here for happy hour practice. 2 cars on track right now. One of them being Janis Schnepnet. I believe that is Marcus Jennen behind in the Salmon. It is not. Oh, no, it is. Excuse me. So, Mel, someone we are no stranger to, was present in the final 2 rounds on the console end for beginners, making his Pro-Am debut this time by, as we are set for 10 minutes of balls to the wall qualifying. And the rain has come down a lot harder than during happy hour. There are several different parameters that we can set for how we want conditions to go. We've set hard limits in how much it can rain and how high and how low the temperature can be. And obviously we hard set the time. But mind you, we have no real control about when it rains and how much it rains. Only the absolute maximums and minimums. So we don't know when it will rain and how hard it will rain. But these guys are getting a much harder, a much damper track than they got here in happy hour. And this is where practice is absolutely paramount in not just understanding how the track is in these different levels of grip, but how the circuit evolves over time. 10 cars on track, that track is going to dry out as the race goes on. It'll be a slow burn since we're just barely getting into the double digits. But it's going to evolve over time here. Gorbet off the limiter, sliding that. This is where the Porsche is going to struggle. That car wants to rotate. Maybe a little bit too much right now for Theopil. Chucks that in to the village here as we work our way through the loop and towards Antry. This is where the Porsche thrives, the tight corners. As again, with all of that weight on top of and behind the rear axle, it just wants to pivot that entire car around. Interesting gap here as it is Jenin leading a couple of cars ahead. Jenin and Capriola. Looks like DiCaprio actually elected to go back in the pits. We might have seen him run happy hour on dries and then move over from the slicks to the wets. First green flag lap here, though. Let's ride with Gorbel. A little bit of lap traffic here as it starts in Cops. As we go through the ever iconic Maggots and Beckett's. Just working the pedal here, trying to find the optimum speed through all of these. Through Chapel and onto the hangar straight. Again, we don't use the Formula 1 pit lane. We use the old timing line and pit lane. So we end at Woodcote, start at Cops. First heavy braking zone here into Stowe. As Gorbet runs a little bit wide here. And Stowe alone is a good overtaking opportunity, but here's another one as we work into the club chicane. Got to watch those sausage curbs on the inside. A little bit of a lockup there. You could hear the flat six here of Gorbel kind of seize up. And the RPMs drop as he's working the pedals here. Fast right-hander through Woodcote as we cross the Formula 1 timing line. Quick flick of the right here through Cops. Or excuse me, Abbey. Even I'm getting confused now. Slow left-hander into Farm, then the slowest section of the track into the village. Gets narrow very, very quickly, but some dives to the inside and some over-unders are definitely in order here. We'll see that a lot, especially out of Antry, as we've got a very interesting combination of corners here once we pass the Wellington Bridge. Gotta watch the curbing on the right here. Trail break into Brooklands as Loxa goes just a smidgen too wide here, has to gather it back up. Then a long carousel-esque right-hander through Luffield. Then hug the inside through Woodcote as we conclude one of the longer laps we have on the calendar. An off-pace 2:14 from Théophile Gorbet. So it is currently Marcus Jenin provisionally on the pole right now. Byron Forrest is in second. And as I say that, yes, he has. Jenna Schnappett turns up the wick and gets to the top. Chris Harris running in fifth as Byron Forrest continues to try and find a little bit of delta in this Ford Mustang. A third up on his best lap so far. Two very, very long straightaways. Hamilton, Hanger, and the run between Cops and Maggots. That's really going to let the Mustang stretch those legs out. We thought this car was going to struggle at Hungaroring, but it's not necessarily the tight and technical that catches the Mustang out. It's the long, fast, complicated, very demanding, oval-esque corners that catch out the Mustang as it chews through tires. One of the heaviest cars in GT3 homologation, excluding, obviously, the Boatley. So the village in the loop, not going to be an issue here for the Mustang, but you look at Maggots and Beckett's, that is where we're going to really, really see some struggles and where we might see people be able to mount a return, a pass back maybe on Byron Forrest II, as well as Chris Harris. But right after that, you've got the hanger straight, and then the script flips almost immediately. Forrest II under chase right now from Jenna Schneppet, as we do have a new provisional pole sitter, it would appear. Théophile Gorbet, expect anything different? I say expect anything different. We have not seen the Flying Frenchman really flex his muscles so far in the Pro-Am. We know he's been fast in these damp conditions through the beginner series, and we're finally seeing that talent unwind here in the faster class. First lap was a little bit off. He understands it now. Although the minute I say that, our fastest man in happy hour starts to mount some pace as well. As Mel now works his way to the top of the timing towers. Loxa drops to third here. Still a little bit more pace in that. Schneppet in second. Forrest working into Club Chicane. Under chase by Janus. He's going to be absolutely furious here as he has a fast car, but he's got a chunky Ford Mustang in front of him right now. Let's watch these two. Ferrari 296 getting a face full of spray here from Byron Forrest II. He goes wide in that Ferrari. And Schneppet going to back out. One car up further ahead. It looks like DaCosta. Or DiCaprio, excuse me, it is. Back on the loud pedal. Big wiggle further back there from Schneppet as he tries to mount some kind of revenge here on Liam Slade. And now Forrest's going to have some issues as well as DiCaprio is right in front of him. Forrest all the way back now in 8th. What is this lap going to be? Almost a second and a half of improvement as he comes to the stripe. It's good enough for 6th. No improvement there from Schneppet. As now Marcus Jenin improves up into 4th. Gaglio is in 4th, or excuse me, 6th. As no improvement here from the 68. Still plenty of time here. One more lap to prove it as Mel 23 Martin Benedetti comes to the line. Big wiggle of the McLaren, gathers it back up. Just got a little bit of that rear tire on the curbing, which is super slick here with how wet the track is. Four-wheel sliding this thing through Maggots and Beckett's, trying to maximize as much performance as possible. Mel doesn't really need to keep going here, as he's already got a significant gap on the rest. Loxa has thrown in the towel, so Grabel will settle for the outside of row number 2, as DiCaprio works his way through Hamilton straight. O'Donoghue will start from the back of the pack. He takes the checkered flag and will roll off ninth. Chris Harris on to Hamilton now. Again, one of the longer laps here. We did start at Bathurst, but again, that's so kind of divided. You have so many different times to breathe there, going down and going back towards the mountain. There is constant action here. A very Suzuka-esque kind of environment here, which I mean, not too much of a shocker when you consider both are on the Formula 1 circuit. Ooh, big mistake there from DaCosta. Gets into the pit attenuator. And Byron Forrest going to have to settle for 8th. That will be the checkered flag then on qualifying. And it will indeed be our championship leader starting alongside our newcomer. When we come back, it is round number 3 here of the IFWL Pro-Am Series for the consoles from Silverstone. Stay with us. Getting set to go here from Silverstone for round number 3 of the Pro-Ams on the console side. Of course, we simulcast with the PC guys, and there has been something on the PC end, or excuse me, on the console end that we have not gotten yet. And I am incredibly excited and honored to announce that we will be doing the Race for Life charity sponsored by the Sophia Foundation, Sunday, September 7th, open to all PS5 and Xbox players. Goes for a great, great cause in Europe for children hospitals, has directly helped members of IFWL, and of course the penalties that you donate will directly affect the drivers involved in the race. Not really for any glory, all for fun and all for a fantastic cause. Going to be a great time. Still plenty of slots open, and that will be in a couple of months' time, September 7th. You can hit the Discord link or the YouTube link for more information. Getting set here for 40 minutes of action from the heart of British motorsports, Silverstone International Circuit. It will be our championship leader on the inside here, Jenny Schneppet, on the alongside Mel 23, our newcomer. He's shown plenty of pace in the beginner series. It's his first start in the Pro-Ams. Oh, big wiggle there on the start. Oh my goodness. Théophile Gorbet is going to instantly come in. He's accidentally mounted the wrong tires on that Porsche, I believe. Oh my goodness, big heartbreak potentially early, and some shakeups. A man who has had so much pace so far this week, has had so much to prove at Silverstone, will have to start from the pit lane. How will that comeback drive come together, and how will R2 on the front row do? Let's find out. Let's go racing at Silverstone. Mel going to try and hang it all the way around the outside, and will clear Schneppet into turn number 1 as they work their way towards Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. Good start as well for Chris Harris, bobbing and weaving, trying to get heat into those Pirelli P0s. McLaren, Ferrari, Ford, and then Ferrari as Janus is further behind. Big slide from Chris Harris as he goes in it to the grass on the inside of Maggots. We'll have to gather it back up and get back going. Marco Gaglio with a good start, but here comes Byron Forrest, the second heading down the hangar straight. That Mustang's got pace on that Huracan though. Working into Stowe for the first time, will take a wider line, trying to carry that momentum in that dark horse. Gaglio with good pace though on Mad Max as he tries to get to Marcus Jennon. A little bit of a look heading into club corner for the first time, but stays in line. And a banger start from Black Metaphor. Byron Forrest, the second, gains 3 positions in the first half lap. As we ride on board with the dark horse of the American pilot, and we get to watch Gaglio try and pass Marcus Jennon as well as we head into Village for the first time. Battle at the front of the field too as Schneppet goes at it. Long right-hander. This is going to get spicy real quick here. How quickly can Byron close this gap here to Gaglio? Look to the inside again here from Gaglio on Jennon. Gets back in line once again as we head in to Brooklands and Luffield. As Jennon goes a little bit wide, Gaglio goes with him. And everybody holds their position thus far. Some really, really good driving, some good offense, some better defense from everybody. As we come back to the stripe to complete lap number 1. And it will be Martin Benintendi. So 3-car freight train up at the front here. Dry track for the time being, it looks like. But we know that the rain is coming. The question is when and how hard. As Loxa still in the pits here. I'm not sure if he's retired or just thrown the towel in altogether. Here is Benedetti with already a second up. What can Janus do to close that gap? Loxa now finally coming out of the pits. He's got plenty of work ahead of him. Théophile Gorbet. As Byron Forrest II continues to get to work here on this 3-4 car queue. Janus starting to fall back a little bit. More trouble for Chris Harris. He goes wide and gathers it back up. That Mustang struggling for grip big time. He might be on the wrong tire compound as well. And now here comes DiCaprio in that BMW M4, slowly but surely closing the gap on Forrest. Oh, further up ahead, here goes Marco Gaglio. He's got a good run. He shoots it to the outside here heading into Brooklands. He makes that move finish before he even reaches the apex of Brooklands. But through Lovefield, there might be another bit of a look here from Janus. That was a huge mistake from Janus that we must have missed out on, because now this has become a 4-car queue. And now Benedetti is absolutely in a league of his own. So some big mistake there from our championship leader, Janus Schneppet, drops him from 2nd to 5th. Gaglio going wide as well. Interesting stuff here in the shotgun position of Byron Forrest II. You can see, I was telling you guys in qualifying how much speed is lost there as more issues for Gaglio. He goes wide. Gets back in line. There's a big lift there from Janus. He might have had to go into the pit lane already. I'm not sure. Timing and scoring telling us he's a lap down. Forrest looking to the outside here, going into Stowe. Schneppet defends. Forrest trying the over-under. Doesn't have the ideal line as Janus looks to the inside. Can use all the curbing on the outside, though, that Ford Mustang of Forrest. The German Minister of Defense right now, Janus Schneppet, defending that position for all that it's worth. Further up ahead, Gaglio putting the heat on Marcus Jenin. Some good stuff here in the opening stages of this race. Jenin looking for his first podium of the season. 4th in the opener at Mount Panorama, a 7th at Kailami. The Prancing Horse versus the Raging Bull, a rivalry as old as auto racing itself. That Huracan has the legs just a little bit here, heading into Brooklands. It looks like Jenin is just starting to crack a smidge here. Further back, that BMW of DiCaprio is indeed joining this queue as we've got a 5-car freight train here in the mid-pack. Fellow German driver Marcus Jenin trying to hold off the Italian in the Lamborghini, Marco Gagliolo. I'm sorry, I've been butchering that, Marco. I don't know if you're watching live or will be watching this replay. I'm half Italian. I don't know if that gives me any liberties there to butcher it. Blue flag is out, and considering our rules, it's going to be interesting to see, because Janus clearly showing pace in that Ferrari. And again, one mandated pit stop. Did something happen to Janus? I'm still incredibly confused as to why timing and scoring is calling him a lap down. If anyone in chat knows, that would be amazing to know. Gagliolo still trying to put the pressure on Jenin, as it is currently an Italian sandwich between two Germans here. Beautiful V10 soundtrack coming from the Huracan Evo 2. A little bit of a bobble there from Jenin, as Gagliolo going all the way down to first. Not a lot you can do with that going through Luffield, maybe out of the loop if you want to plan it and launch it. But you want to carry that momentum in the engine brake that going down to first provides. You want to keep it in second at the lowest. Another bit of a bobble here through Copse. Through Maggots Beckett's big monster truck moment there from Jenin as he got on the sausage curbs heading into Chapel. As here's Chapel here. Jenin runs it very, very deep. So too does Gagliolo. And now once again tucked up into the draft is Marcus. A little bit of a back and forth weave here from Jenin trying to break that toe. Looked like Jenin was late on the brakes there with how late he lunged on the anchors. But is able to gather it back up and keep going into Club Chicane. Another bit of a bobble. Interesting dynamic here is both of these guys are clearly overdriving the car, going late on the brakes, missing apexes. Gaglio wants that position. Jenin wants to defend, and they're both kind of dragging themselves into overdriving right now. Through Abbey and into Village. Good line here from Gagliolo. But again, middle of the track there from Jensen, trying to make that flamingo-colored 296 as thick with as many C's as possible. This will be a good run from Gagliolo, though. Peak to the inside here, heading into Brooklands. Another very deep lunge on the brakes. Can Gagliolo get there? Janus busting out the Concorde. The Popcorn. I said Concorde. What am I doing? Schneppet busting out the Popcorn, though, and just watching these two battle right now. "10 minutes in. And it is Benetendi with a very comfortable lead right now over Marcus Jenin as second and third continue to duel right now. As now Schneppet trying to unlap himself, was right on the bumper here, but could not clear him. Force the second was a little bit involved in this battle about 5 minutes ago. He's stagnated a smidge, and now he's trying to fend off DiCaprio further back in that M4. And then from 6th and 7th back, that field has diluted very heavily. Some incredibly clean racing so far, though. Only single car incidents, as Chris Harris was overdriving a smidge. So very frequently do we see these kind of single car breakaways, you might argue. Especially in the Pro-Am, but again, the rain is coming. We don't know when or how heavy it will be, but that is potentially going to be a major, major shakeup. When is it going to start raining? Will it be enough for me to justify making that move over from the slicks onto the wets? Should I try stopping early, get on some fresh dries, and maybe maximizing my time here before the rain comes? Gaglio with an issue. Got a little bit too much of the curbing and got on the right foot a little bit too quickly and will instantly drop out of that battle. Not too much of a shocker considering how knife edge the Huracan is in its driving characteristics. And Gagliolo will not be able to repeat that opening podium at Mount Panorama, as he will fall all the way back into 7th. Now, damage looked minimal, maybe a little bit of the front wing there, the front half of the car. And as we look at the front of this Lambo, does not look bad. starting to break up a little bit as we watch another two-car battle now. This is Chris O'Donoghue versus Chris Harris, the two British Chris's going at it. O'Donoghue and Mariko in that beautifully colored Acura for me, Honda for the rest of the world NSX. Car that has just recently bowed out of the real world of GT3 racing globally, but has made its British GT debut with Jazz Racing. So in its new home here, just fine at Silverstone. Big issue there for DaCosta. There might have been contact that we missed out there between DiCaprio and Forrest. I'm not entirely sure, but just behind this two-pack is closing in as well. Six people in chat. How are we, everybody? Drop a subscription to our YouTube, and if you're around for over a minute, that shouldn't be too hard, hopefully. I don't think I'm that boring. You can drop a chat and say what's up. Someone immediately left the minute I said what's up. Oh, I love it. Chris Harris trying to continue to put the pressure on O'Donoghue into Maggots and Beckett. It's not going to stick here, bud. Stays tucked in and gets a good view of the rear end of that NSX. And the lime green Mustang continues on the hunt. Had the pleasure of talking with two real-life pilots of the Mustang GTD, as Harris, maximizing those legs, gives a little bit of a look here and will force O'Donoghue the long way around. Textbook stuff through Stowe for Chris Harris. On the recovery drive, was all the way back in 8th and works his way back into 5th. Good stuff. Was talking about the advantages and disadvantages of the Dark Horse earlier on, and that's because I've had the privilege of talking to a lot of real-life drivers of numerous machinery. But the Gradient Racing crew, pilots of the 66 Dark Horse machine in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Robert McGinnis, Jensen Altsman. Altsman, a longtime Ford Performance junior driver, just making that move up to GT3 machinery. And Robert McGinnis, last Freedom 100 winner, worked through the single-seater series in America and got his way into sports car racing. They are both in love with this car. It is a beast. Had Altsman try and describe it to me, he's like, the car is constantly trying to kill me, but in the best way possible. Robert McGinnis said, I've driven so many kind of high-tech, top-of-the-line sports cars, LMP3s, GT4s. He currently drives a Cayman GT4 in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Nothing feels as mechanical, as physical as the Dark Horse. But he means that in a good way. No other place is getting, no other car gives as good feedback, as brutal feedback, as we see DaCosta, or excuse me, DiCaprio, continue to go at it with one of these Mustangs. Tries the outside here, going out of Stowe. Seen a lot of Mustang moves into Stowe, side by side. DiCaprio with the preferred line, and that will be a done deal. Good move by DiCaprio. Now looks to the inside as they work their way out of club across the Hamilton straight. And now Chris Harris going to want a little bit of a look to the party. This might be 2 positions lost for Forrest. It is. Maybe 2 cars, 1 corner, or 2 cars, 1 lap here as Harris goes the middle. We're nearly 3 wide here going into the village chicane. Out of the loop now, Forrest tries to swing back. Over under here as they work their way on, and Metaphor might be able to carry all of that momentum to bring the battle back to DaCosta. Some nuclear moves here as Harris and Forrest side by side. Harris gets turned gathers it back up, and oh my goodness, heartbreak for both of these drivers. Not the way that battle wanted to end for either of them, and Ant DiCaprio is going to take off in that M4 and get that provisional final spot on the podium. Oh boy. Mustang on Mustang violence. As Gaglia will be the first for a regular scheduled pit stop, Harris will follow suit. Want to say hello to chat in Jimbo, who is always fun to watch in the beginner series, who I still commentate on in the beginner series. Ducking in to say hello. And I am disappointed, Dad, in my racing right now. It was such good racing, and unfortunately, it did have to end that way. Let's hop on board briefly with the BMW M4 of Ant DiCaprio, as it looked like we were starting to see some droplets maybe gather on the windshields of these machines. We're now officially halfway home, or about 30 seconds from halfway home here at Silverstone. No rain yet. When we get to this point, you've got to ask yourself some really hard questions. Do I come into pit lane at this point and risk maybe having to go one more time? Do I play the long game and wait for the rain? Because again, we're at the point now where if the rain starts, the track maybe couldn't even get wet enough where it's reasonable to make that switch. It could be a full slick race. And we don't know. Ooh, big trouble. Ant DiCaprio around now. Chris O'Donoghue will get an opportunity from last to the podium now. A war of attrition here at Silverstone as guys are just struggling to keep it on the concrete. And now here comes Byron Force the second again. This feels like a good time to drop the history lesson. Again, you guys already know the backstory of Silverstone. If you don't, formerly RAF Silverstone, operational base for the Royal Air Force between 1943 and 1946, home of the number 17 operational training unit. 3 different runways that would become the iconic straights of the circuit, or at least one of them would. You can still see some bits of the runway that are still used as access roads, parts of the inner Stowe circuit on the infield. I would say this is the home circuit for with how many Brits we have that run and operate the IFWL, but with how many of them are Northerners, I'd reckon Alton Park is probably more of a proper example of that, as we are currently in the Buckinghamshire, Northamptonshire area. I mean, there's a couple close towns here: Towcester, Brackley and Milton Keynes, obviously the close ones, home of, formerly Force India, now Aston Martin. Milton Keynes, obviously home of Red Bull Racing. A lot of these guys having active office and administrative buildings actually at the track. And although it is the current home of the British Grand Prix, as we watch our championship leader, Jana Schneppet, come into the pits. As we go back over to Byron Force, the second, continuing to put the pressure on Ant DiCaprio. Big time damage there. You can see how bent the front end of that Ford Mustang is as he wiggles his way on to the main straightaway. Many of you will know that, obviously, Silverstone was the home of the British Grand Prix originally, 1948 to 1954. Before that, we had Brooklands, which was literally just a freaking oval. Y'all did it before we did it. I mean, technically, Indy 500 was 1911, so not really But Silverstone and Brands Hatch from 1963 to 1986, it was a altering schedule there, and then Donington Park, home of the European Grand Prix, Ayrton Senna putting in the lap of the gods. But Silverstone, the original home when it was properly Formula One and not Grand Prix Racing or GPDO, from 1948 to 1954. Then it became Antri, which we don't talk about. Another former... Is it still around? I don't think Antri is still around. Hasn't hosted a Formula One Grand Prix since 1962. Then went over to alternating years between 63 and 86. And since 1987, it has been the ever constant home of Formula One racing in the United Kingdom, and therefore the heart of British motorsports. Isle of Man TT also this week. Shout out to those absolute maniacs. Doing my history lessons right now because we've got a lot of lonely drivers right now. Byron Forrest has caught up to Antonio Da Costa, but that is pretty much... We apologize there for any slight pauses in the connection there, as the production truck had a one wrong switch flip there. All good. So pretty much everybody except our leader here, Mel, has come into the pits. Same too as Da Costa, but he's serving that box time right now. As Benedetti trying to play the long game. He knows that the rain might be coming here with just 13 minutes to go on the clock. But again, it's just a matter of when. Chris Harris one lap down now, as the leader has finally caught lap traffic. Again, can take that with a grain of salt here, as Benedetti is still yet to pit, but is only a matter of time. Obviously, Formula One not the only thing hosted here at Silverstone, as it is one of the busiest tracks of the year. British touring cars obviously been a constant since the late 70s. ELMS hosting around here this year. British Motorcycle Grand Prix also taking place here. And of course the reason we have it is the British GT, which will run here in a couple months' time in tandem with GT4 equipment, one of the few multi-class series full-time that is funded by SRO. And in a race that these guys were preparing, you know, wet strategies, wet setups, rolling off the grid with wet tires, we have seen nothing on track. Just now are we starting to see a little bit begin to come down, but I'm not sure if it's justifying that move. We're just now starting to see droplets on the camera. Track was optimum. It's going to take a while here for it to wash away the rubber and for this to start piling up. Benedetti finally coming into the pit lane now, as Byron Forrest still to pit. Might have played the right strategy here. And there is no optimum window. There is no open or closed window. Some leagues run it here where it's you know, 2-3 minutes before after the checkered flag. So we're going to see when Byron comes in here. This is going to be interesting. Chris Harris is back out after that incident, but has ended up in 6th as the result. Might potentially blend it back in with Byron depending on how that shakes up. DaCosta running in 5th. Gaglio recovering, but is 9 seconds back from the podium right now with Marcus Jenin. And O'Donoghue back to the rear of the field here in 7th. So Byron Force, the second, promoted to our leader now. Provisionally, I'm trying to get a look here on the tires. Hard to tell from here what compound they've elected. I'm not seeing a major rooster tail here, which is usually a good sign that it isn't super wet here, but that could change within the next 5 minutes for sure. But Black Metaphor, despite the major incident earlier on with Chris Harris, is playing the long game and could be the one to pull the ultimate strategy here. We'll have to find out here as we've got 10 minutes on the clock. I would say it's going to have to be wet enough for this to be justifiable within the next 10 minutes or so. Or 5 minutes, excuse me. Fight is back on for Gagliolo and Marcus Jenin for the podium. What a recovery here for the Italian. Forces Jenin wide. He will go off. They'll go side by side, heading into Maggots and Beckett's, and that will be a done deal. Gagliolo back on the podium, provisionally second, depending on where Byron Force comes back out. And the Italian in the Lambo comes the long way back. Absolute heartbreak for this man right here. Jaina Schneppet. And you can throw that to both of our championship first and runner-up there. Bill Gorbet, believe actually retired after starting on the incorrect compound. Schneppet currently in last. Marvis Milstein, a no-show here after winning last week. This could very well promote Gagliolo and Jenin to the front of the standings after this weekend. We will have to see, though. As the rain continues to come down. And watch the gap here in your bottom left between him and Benintendi. This could get very, very interesting, as again, these Pirellis for Forest are begging for mercy at this rate. Almost 40 minutes used on these tires. But we know that the rain is still coming down, and it's coming down harder. So some guys might make the jump over to slicks, some guys might jump over, or might try and just run it out on this current strategy. As we enter the closing stanzas of round number 3, want to thank all of you for watching thus far. Again, a huge thank you to all of our affiliates here at IFWL, Fanatec, Mozo Racing, Abrazi Racewear, CD Keys, Positive Perception, and G-Portal. Click their affiliate links for a discount and support link in our description. And again, another great way of support, joining the Patreon and becoming a monthly donator to the IFWL. Some major perks there, and as Benji might have teased us, a little bit more on the way, and half off of your first month using Jackson L at checkout for so many benefits. Pressure further back there for it looked like Chris O'Donoghue, as he is attempting to pass. It looks like Mel, as it, yes, our first and second on track has got up to one another. Mel, who has pitted, Benintendi has closed that gap to Byron. The McLaren on far fresher rubber, but how much of an equalizer is that because of the track? Not much. Chucks it up the inside going into Village, and will take that lead from Byron Forrest II. And is this where we see Forrest finally throw in the towel and come to pit lane? He only has, realistically, 2 more laps in it as we finally have 5 minutes to go here at Silverstone. Rain still coming down. We're not seeing any takers to pit lane yet. And again, I think it's just too little too wet. Too little not wet enough, shall I say, for the Byron Forrest strat to work out the way he intended. And that will give the lead back to Benintendi. As we shuffle through the field once again, might have been a mistake there for Jensen, as he was in 4th. He lost another position, and DiCaprio has gone through. Guys might be starting to struggle for grip on these Pirellis. The amount of times that people have said in the IFWL chat that they are on their Formula 1 brain and will try to come into the pits here through Hamilton. And I cannot lie, as an avid F1 player myself, I have done the exact same. So, well over 30 seconds being lost in the pit lane here. And when you look at who is in 3rd and 4th right now, Metaphor might be able to actually hold on to this position depending on what the strategy is for fuel and everything else. Certainly at this point in the race, if he's managed to keep this pace with that front end damage, he will continue and not elect to have any extra time. He'll finally duck into the pits, so where he will blend in will pretty much determine the podium here at this point. So with Jenin backing out, it is going to be DiCaprio and Gagliolo working their way through. Here's the blend now. Gagliolo coming out of the final corner. And will come across the stripe. Let's see. I think both of these gentlemen will be clear. Yes. So it will be another podium then for Gagliolo. We want to talk about big improvements and a huge shot of energy into this championship fight. It is this man right here, the Italian Antonio DiCaprio for SKFR. Had a brutal start, was caught in a major incident at Mount Panorama, and then ended up in the mid-pack at Bathurst. And now he is starting to turn up the energy and bring the fight to Marco Gagliolo. Battle for the win is pretty much done, but we have got a brilliant battle right now for P2 slowly brewing here. Working into Village, right on the bumper, looks to the end inside here as the leader is on the final lap. DiCaprio looking to the inside. Script is going to flip here, working it through the second section of this area. Side by side, working into Hanger Straight. DiCaprio on the inside, he will take P2. Brilliant stuff from Antonio DiCaprio. He catches Gagliolo sleeping and will take that second spot on the podium. Can Gagliolo throw anything back at him? I think it was just the difference in tires. Ant was a little bit later to pit than Gagliolo. Again, Gagliolo involved in that incident earlier on with spinning out on his own power, threw in the towel pretty much instantly afterwards. So he's on a little bit older rubber. And how about this for Mel? Martin Benedetti. Working out of Village onto Wellington for the final time. A DNF at Bathurst and a no-show last week. He spins! Benedetti's around! Oh my goodness! Our leader has to refire. This is, oh my gosh, major drama coming out of Brooklands. He gets it refired. There's no pressure from behind. It almost came crashing down, but oh my goodness. Weaving and sliding to the win. Martin Benedetti will get his first win of the year in a dramatic fashion. Battle not over, though, for second and third. DiCaprio weaving inside and outside now, heading in to Brooklands. Lap traffic in front. It is O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue not playing into any drama here, as it will be easily the best finish of the season thus far for Antonio DiCaprio. Marco Gagliolo with a second podium of the season, and provisionally will, without a shadow of a doubt, be our championship leader. Chris Harris, where did you come from? How did you get to the back of Byron Forrest II? Do you have anything to potentially give us an upset to the line? Black Metaphor still looking for some magic here in this season, but will recover brilliantly from the back of the pack to come home in fourth. Chris Harris will finish in fifth. And that will be it for us here at Silverstone. A spread out pack for the majority of the race, but ended with some high drama. And we head on for some night action in Imola next Sunday. But until then, for everybody here at IFWL, it is Jackson Lambros saying thank you so much for watching, and so long from Silverstone.